Hello, everybody. We're going to begin with a song that some of you know, and please sing with us.
Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul.
Shana Tova, everyone. Welcome to this historic moment of being able to have Temple Bethel welcoming the Jewish Collaborative of Orange County and the opportunity to be your service guides with my dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Cantor Marcia Tilchin, and incredible musical support, Jason Fetty and Ron Livy and Evan and Wool and Lonnie T. We're really looking forward to a really meaningful High Holy Day season. All of us are coming to this moment with so much going on in our world, right in the middle of a war in Israel, and in our own lives, both great joys and struggles and difficulties, and we really draw on the strength of being with each other and the strength of our tradition to help guide us to how do we approach and move into this year in a way that is loving and embracing and strong and connected. We gather together today with a certain anticipation that comes with the potential for new beginning for us. While the beginning of the High Holy Day period began 1 month ago with the new moon of the preceding month of Elul, it's tonight that this sacred time really becomes high, like the High Holy Days. Living in this country, it's easy to associate this sacred time with New Year's, right? A time for resolutions and starting over. And while the rabbis did call this day Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year for various reasons, the Torah had a vision of this sacred time that is much deeper and much more mysterious. In the Torah, the day is not referred to as the new year or the celebration of creation. It's called the first of the 7th month, and it's called Yom Teruah, the day of the specific shofar call that we know as 9 quick repetitive blasts. The first place in the Torah where the sound of the shofar is referred to is in the revelation of God's presence at Mount Sinai. In that section, the experience of God's presence is referred to as kol shofar, the voice of the shofar, 3 times. Later in the books of Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers, The truah sound of the shofar is used to either signal the people to move from place to place, or it was to get them ready for war, while the long blast, the tekiyah, is used to gather them. It was the shofar that was used in all of these circumstances because it reminded the people of that essential experience at Mount Sinai. Whether they needed to move into the unknown or engage in the uncertainty of battle, the truah was meant to recreate that deep awareness that God was with them. And I think all of us need that deep awareness. This Rosh Hashanah, I want to focus on the Torah's vision of the day as Yom Truah, not just the blast of the shofar that we'll hear tomorrow, but that Mount Sinai moment, that radical acceptance of God's presence in our moment-to-moment experience. And I say radical because many of us live in a daze most of the time, and the daze is one where we're lost in our plans and our desires and our fears. And it's a rare moment when we're touched deeply by sacred presence. Our story as a people, from the leaving of slavery in Egypt to the cusp of the promised land, is a deep archetypal template for spiritual awakening and living deeper lives of meaning and purpose. As the story goes, when the people received that first set of tablets, which is usually associated with the holiday of Shavuot, they didn't internalize that experience of God's presence. Because as soon as Moses was gone up the mountain too long, they erected the golden calf to worship this in place of God. And then Shavuot is called Zman Matan Toratenu, the time of the giving of the Torah, not the time of the accepting of the Torah. God gave a gift, God's presence through the Torah, but the people didn't really accept it as their reality. The relationship was ruptured, and Moses went back up the mountain to pray for the people for 40 days, this whole previous month of Elul. And the people did their own soul searching. If this reality and relationship with God was something that they were willing to reorient their lives around. Today, Yom Truah is the full acceptance of reality of God as the deepest and highest dimension of our lives. It's a day of our commitment to that relationship, and it's a willingness to open to that in every possible moment. When the people were really ready to truly receive and accept, then God, through Moses, could give them the second tablets and renew the relationship that happens on Yom Kippur. Much of the time, our difficulty in relationships is because the other person is sharing their truth with us, and we're not willing to truly hear or accept their reality because of its implications for us. If we want to stay in relationship with them, then taking their perspective seriously means that we may have to do things differently. Only when we make our relationship with them the most important thing, and then change our way of doing things to honor that reality, then we can stay close and connected. When we say the blessing over the shofar, we bless God for the mitzvah of listening to the shofar, not blowing the shofar, but hearing it. Today is the day that we focus on hearing the reality of God's presence in our lives and making the necessary changes to accommodate for that reality. And I want to just encourage us, all of us have these different relationships to this word God. On one hand, it's just a word, and we may have lots of images and pictures that we have inherited as somewhere out here. But I think each one of us knows intuitively that there's this place of connection and realness and truth and goodness that we want to orient our lives around, and that's what we're talking about. So before we begin our service to really delve into this through prayer and incredible music, I want to invite up one of our board members, Brad Shapiro, to give a little pre-service announcements, some logistics.
It'll be brief. Shana Tova. So we're happy to have you all here at Temple Bethel. Just wanted to go over a few important items. Restrooms and water fountains are located out those doors and to the right. Take a look around and notice any posted exit signs. There's some over here and some over there. There's only 2 places to look, so that's them. There is a defibrillator located in a cabinet on the wall as you walk out this door and to the left. And the staff and security in several areas of the temple if you need someone. Please ask an usher if you need anything or can't find something, or if you have any questions, and we're here to help. And please enjoy the services. Shana Tova.
Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, yai, dai, 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 dai. Ai, dai, 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 dai. Ai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai.
We're on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Eloheinu mishanetim u'madli v'nazamanim. U'mavir yom u'mevi laila. U'mavdil ben yom u'vein laila. Adonai tzevaot shemo. El Chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai yai dai 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 dai, yai.
Page 6.
Oh Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu uvahem nehegeh yomam v'layla v'yavatecha al tasir mimenu yolamim Baruch atah Adonai Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ohev amo
I'm going to sing, and you'll repeat after me in the regular way that you know it.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
And we sing together.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kashartam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'yisharecha.
In your Mahzor on page 7, we're just going to take a moment for some silent prayer, some really interesting things to read on the margins, if that is of interest to you.
Adonai Elohechem emet v'emunah kol zot v'kayam aleinu. Lenifra lanu mitzareinu v'shalem g'molachoi v'nafshenu.
We're on the top of page 8.
Seged olah v'yen feker.
True redemption will arrive when enemies understand the humanity common to us all, when the praises sung by Israel can be sung by all peoples, forever rescued from their fears and hates, their cowardice and cruelty.
U'malchuto beratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe u'vnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam michamocha b'olim Adonai Yifada Adonai et Yaakov, Ugelo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
We're on page 9. Just to sort of orient you, some of the music you'll be hearing, not a lot, but tonight, tomorrow, Yom Kippur, are things that I learned from cantor Phil Barron. One year I was the Chazan Shalishi, the third cantor at Valley Beth Shalom, and he has some great music, some of which I'm really excited to share with you. We're on Hashkivenu on page 9. And after I stop singing, we're going to read responsively, so you'll read with me. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully and to awaken us again to life, our sovereign.
Spread over us your hand of peace, restore us with good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name.
Shield us, remove from us enemies and pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow, and remove the evil forces that surround us. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever.
Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Aleinu, v'yavo amo Yisrael, v'yad Yerushalayim.
I feel like we've got our Amen corners right over here. That's great. So a lot of us are familiar with the image that our sages give around this High Holy Day time, which is that 3 books are opened, right? Between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, there's the book for those who are completely alive and the book for those who are dead. And then there's the book of those who are in between. And between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we decide who we're going to be, what book we're going to write ourselves on to. And I think that the images of these 3 books invite us to see our thoughts and our choices and actions as the words of the books that we write. We might look at this time of Rosh Hashanah as the editing process. Our engaging in tshuva, of repentance, of return, is the review of our manuscript, the editing of words, or the changing of the direction of the way that a certain narrative is headed? What gives us the courage to look at our recording, the true book that, as we've written it? It's the shofar. The prayer that we're about to recite right now on page 10 is from the book of Psalms, and it implores us as the people of Israel to sound the shofar on the new moon, on the day of our festival when the moon is hidden. Obviously, when it is hidden refers to the moon at the beginning of the Hebrew month when the sky is dark, but maybe the psalmist needed to highlight the fact that the way to connect with the shofar is hiddenness. The shofar sound wakes us up from our slumber. It wakes us up to the totality of our being, not just our usual idea of ourselves, but it's our hidden potential. It blasts its call as if to say, this is your opportunity to embody all of who you are. Don't miss it. Don't waste time. Want to invite up Norma and Elliot Levinson to get ready to open the ark.
Okay. We are on page 10. Join me in English, and then I'll sing in Hebrew, and I invite you all to rise on the top of 10. Sound the shofar on our feast day, on the new moon, when it is hidden, for it is Israel's law, a decree of the God of Jacob. Tikau v'chodesh shofar, ba'kesel yom chagenu, ki chok liYisrael hu, mishpat lelohei Yaakov. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabam, v'yalma divra kirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'v'zman kariv, v'imru amen, yehesh me'raba mevara, li'alam almaya, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekudashah. Berichu le'ela, le'ela, mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram bi'alma v'imru amen.
The Amidah prayer is on page 11, and you can follow the instructions. We're going to have an opportunity for our first silent prayer of Rosh Hashanah.
Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Yisrael Ve'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imru Amen. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yalma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yimechon v'chaydechol beit Yisrael b'gala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam la'almei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha B'richu le'ela le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran v'yalma v'imru Amen. Titkabal tzalot honu v'od hon dechol Yisrael kodam avahon divishmaya v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen.
You may be seated. So one of the great benefits that we have here at Temple Bethel with our with being able to have the Jewish Collaborative join us besides our wonderful musicians is that Rabbi Aviva Funky, she said like chicken, funky, has been leading services over the last few years, family services, alternative services for the Jewish Collaborative. And Rabbi Aviva and I went to the same seminary. She was in some of the years behind me, but I think the first time that I felt like we really connected was at a Kol Tefillah, a whole workshop of prayer at Temple Beth Am. And since that time, for those of you who are regular service goers, there is a staple melody that we use here around for Yishtabach. All our praise we sing unto you. That is a piece of Rabbi Aviva and Rabbi Gabriel Botnick. And so you've been with our congregation in many ways, so we're very honored to have you give our Devar Torah for this evening.
It's always fun when I have a friend who's gone to shul somewhere and they will call me after Shabbat, be like, hey, I heard your music somewhere in the middle of who knows. Oh, that's such a gift. Well, Shana Tova. It really is a gift to be here in this beautiful community and a privilege to be welcoming the high holidays with all of you. And I've always admired you, Rabbi Kavod. Even before you were a rabbi, before he was a rabbi, your organic and authentic spirituality is inspiring, and it's what this world needs. And it's a treasure to know you. And I'm so grateful for your open arms and saying yes to this opportunity. And for many years, as was mentioned, I have been blessed to collaborate with the inspirational powerhouse that is Rabbi Cantor Marcia Tilchin, along with her awesome husband Scott and her beautiful children and all that is the Jewish Collaborative of Orange County, including our last year's partnership in the High Holidays services. So it's so wonderful to be at it again this year, and especially blended with Beth El. But a moment of awe for you, Rabbi Marcia. The fire within you and your devotional commitment to the Jewish people is so valuable. And because of what you bring, I know that our future will continue. And I'm grateful for what you bring to the world. We need it. Yeah. You're a treasure. And I recognize that for many of you in this room, some of you I've had the pleasure to know over the many years, but I know that we are new to each other. So it is great to be here with you in this particular situation, to be visiting, and I will be with all the family services tomorrow. So if you want to stop by, I'll be with the pre-K, then the K through 3, then the 4 through 7, and then the teenagers. So feel free at any time to pop in and see. Scott will be also there making some music with me. At day 2, I'll be leading our alternative service. It will be wild and different. So if your mission this year is like adventure, then that might be a wonderful opportunity for you if you're looking for something musical or deep and different. And I know that Jason Fetty will be there along with some other musicians. So looking forward to sharing that as well throughout these few days. But I stand here before you tonight with a deeply vulnerable share. The message, or the title of tonight's sermon, Renewing the Light of Hope in a Darkened World. And the share is that I have no idea how to begin a sermon on hope after the year we've experienced. When out of nowhere, the worst attack on our people since the Holocaust reared its evil head and took the lives at that time of 1,163 precious souls in the most egregious ways. And 251 of our brothers and sisters were stolen from us, taken hostage, hidden in disgusting and torturous conditions, some in tunnels not tall enough to stand in, once without windows, electricity, or places to go to the bathroom. A year when countless voices across the world denied the vile slaughter of October 7th, or somehow made it our fault, or even worse, they celebrated it. A year when opposing sides had the audacity to rip down flyers of the hostages plastered on buildings, street lights, synagogue walls. A year of the most brave and selfless soldiers giving their lives to protect the land of Israel and their families who could only pray if they would ever hug their loved ones again. A year when baby Kafir Bibis turned 1 in captivity. A year when universities were covered in the strangely similar green tents, overtaken by encampments with students screaming for an intifada revolution. Do they even know what they're screaming about? And that it would put our lives on the line? A year when Jewish college students were blocked from entering certain areas of their campuses, like something straight out of Germany in the 1930s, or had to hide in libraries or science lab or Hillels if they were even saved from raging mobs. A year when friends from childhood posted pro-Hamas narratives on their social media, and you realize why you never heard from them. Or when family members, maybe even our own children, denounce Israel and they don't want to speak to us anymore because we support colonialism. A year when we were so close to another amazing, brilliant rescue operation and learned that all 6 had been shot dead just the day before being found, a day before and Rachel Goldberg Poland and John could not be reunited with their beautiful son Hirsch, a rescue that we had been praying for over 300 days for, with masking taped numbers plastered on the insides of our washing machines, from heartbreakingly tracking each and every day, with each day mattering more and more, and yet feeling less and less possible. That day was like October 7th all over again. How can I not mention the barrage of attacks and the missiles from these last few days? It's been a year of vigils, anti-Semitism training, parent support groups, Jewish stars tucked into our shirts, mezuzahs ripped from our homes, people being beaten and even killed in our neighborhoods. High schoolers were just getting their lives back together from the years of COVID, and now faced with dirty looks in the hall, snide comments from peers, bombardments of anti-Semitic rhetoric on social media causing serious confusion over what is right or wrong, or what to believe, or whom to believe, or what side of history they're supposed to be on. This has been a harrowing year. And to stand here and speak of hope, though it is what we all need and are desperate for, feels almost insensitive. How can we talk about hope when the wounds are still fresh? When the world feels like it's been flipped upside down, when defending Zionism has become political and anti-Semitism is on trend? Didn't we think this was a thing of the past? And now people are literally waving Nazi flags publicly. Like, they've created new terms like Zios, trying to undercut our values and diminish our existence yet again. How could I speak of hope when our brothers and sisters in Israel live in and out of their bomb shelters, and active terrorists want us dead? And the events from the last 48 hours have escalated the situation to levels we can't even comprehend. When our federations are putting millions of dollars on security, when just over a year ago, I was frustrated by the fact that I needed armed guards in order to pray with my community, now I wouldn't go into a community without them. How can we speak of hope when so much has been ripped from our sacred spaces, from our hearts, and from our wombs? Well, the actual question, I think we all know, is not how could I speak of hope? It's how could I not? If there's anything that has become so clear after this entire year, it is as much as we are the people of the book, we are the people of the hope. There is something intrinsic about who we are, as if it's in our DNA. Even though we are great complainers, we've got that in there too, or that we are perpetual targets for awful offenses, hope is what we do. What does Moses do when the Israelites are stuck between the water and the encroaching Pharaoh's army after they moan and complain? They move forward. In fact, Moses tells everyone, God tells Moses, stop praying to me and do something. Well, you can't do anything if you don't believe it would make a difference. Many of you may be familiar with the rabbinic midrash that speaks of the young Israelite, Nachshon, who pipes up and volunteers to start walking through the waters, and it doesn't split until it reaches his nostrils. He moved forward as a sign of hope, of faith, trust in what's to come, and Klal Yisrael walked on to the other side. Hope is what Miriam did by packing timbrels in the anticipation of a celebration of redemption. I'm sorry, but it's pretty amazing when your life is under threat and you choose to pack timbrels, and it feels essential No wonder why she's called a prophetess. Hope is what we did when God spoke to us about accepting Torah, and our people said, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do, and then we will understand. We will trust in this relationship with God that moving forward is what we do. And then when we get a moment to reflect on it, you bet you will that we will. Hope is in literally every single story in the Torah and even the ones after. Hope is Naomi and her devotion to Ruth and the future that they build for themselves. Hope is Esther putting her life on the line, fasting and throwing parties in strategic process to persuade the king to make the right choice. Hope is literally what got our sages out of the rubble from the destruction from the Second Temple and having the koach to say, okay, the temple is destroyed. I guess it's time to reconfigure and reframe Jewish life. You don't do that unless you have something to believe in. And I would wager that we could all agree that it was hope that helped our loved ones through the Shoah. Hope is literally the essence of our survival, and I would suggest it is, in fact, why we are still here. And I have to be honest with you that I don't think I've ever thought of it this way before. Even as somebody who knows our history and what all of our ancestors have had to overcome just for us to be here today, hope as the foundation for our survival hasn't seemed real in 21st century Judaism. As this is such a blessed generation, one with such a luxury of Jewish life, a freedom that our people have only dreamed of. And it's not perfect, of course, because we always need something to complain about, but Jewish life has been thriving. Our amazing summer camps, our trips to Israel, diverse synagogues and amazing organizations, and the music and the communities that have blossomed in this world. Again, not perfect, but compared to all other generations, the dream. So as our world becomes a threat today, under threat today, it feels like the Twilight Zone. Didn't we already make it to the other side? For the last year, I've run a weekly text study class for adult learners. And it's a wonderful group of older ladies. We've had a few men, but these ladies, they bring their books and their commentaries, they spread all over the tables, and they are ready to get into it. And in preparation for the high holidays, I wanted to spend time exploring the month of Elul and its meanings, of course. The first thing you would come to would be the psalm for the season. Anybody know what psalm number that is? 27. Great. Traditionally at this time, it's recited twice daily for 50 days, beginning in Elul all the way through the holidays, and it ends at the end of Sukkot at Rosh Hashanah. It's the longest journey for any additional prayer, recited more frequently than any other added psalm to our liturgy. So you can imagine that a prayer like this would have some serious weight, a deep message for this time of year. So I asked the ladies, which I'm asking you this evening, if you can imagine a psalm for this season that celebrates the birth of the world, the awe of creation, what might you think some of this psalm would say? I'm actually asking, this is one of those interactive moments. What might you imagine a psalm for this season through the beginning of Elul into now? Okay, good. You're kind of like leading there. That's cool. That's cool. Creation is God's. God, you rule the world. Wow, mighty. We might even imagine a psalm for this season about the shaping of the world and the forest singing God's praises. Something about the natural world, or maybe even how God is mighty and what are we? Some kind of relational awe moment or God's majesty. But that is not what this psalm is. could you imagine what the psalm actually is? Right. But if you could guess actually what this psalm is about, it is hope. It's despair and hope. The rabbis could have chosen any psalm, any type of flavor for this particular season. And they chose the one that demands us to face our deepest fears head on. It speaks of literally being surrounded by our enemies, the external threats and the internal ones, by the way. And it calls on us to kaveh el Adonai chazak va'ametz. With strength and courage, have hope in God. That is the psalm, like Happy New Year. Do you have that psalm open? If you want to see it, it's someone can find it. You can shout the page out if you just want to take a look at how inspiring it is. But no, really. What is it?
It's actually on page 27.
That is apropos. It's Psalm 27's on 27. Oh, so Rabbi Moshe Isserles of the 16th century teaches that the psalm for the season was chosen because it mirrors the idea of seeking God's presence as we ready ourselves for judgment. Hasidic commentary suggests that this psalm is fitting because it takes courage and strength in order to make teshuvah, change, returning to our better self. Rabbi Avraham Yitzchak Kook of the 19th century speaks of the human experience between the fear and the faith and the adversaries we face when trying to live a life clinging to God. These insights help us understand the essence of this psalm. But I think that there's another dimension that's crucial. In order to move forward into another year, we must have the hope, not a passive one, but an active one that believes that we will move into it living and growing and thriving. The psalmist literally tells us this by the line that I ask to live in the house of God all of the days of my life. Our hope has been the key to our survival, rooted in the belief that we're meant to endure, to live out God's Torah, and to pass down our stories and our traditions and our recipes. It's true. But this hope isn't about believing that God will fix that despair. This hope isn't believing that God is going to fix that brokenness. Hope, this is it right here, if I can find my line in the line right here. It's choosing to have the courage to do something about it, to do something about that brokenness. As Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory taught, that optimism is believing that things will get better. But hope is the belief that if we work hard enough together, we can make things better. It isn't about sitting back and waiting things to be over or improve. Hope is the active participation, a belief that even in the face of despair, we can make a difference. To bring this time to end, but also I think a really powerful perspective, I want to share a little story from Rabbi Joshua Heschel that I learned from one of my colleagues, Rabbi Emily Siegel of Temple Chai. I told you I was going to mention you because I think everybody in Phoenix is going to bring this story this year. That there was once a town that had basically everything that they could ever need, and everybody in their houses had clocks. And the one thing that the town didn't have was someone to fix those clocks. And over time, the clocks began to need repair. And some people on a regular basis would have to actually manually turn their clocks in order for those clocks to work. And some people altogether were like, forget it. We're done here. Like, just going to let the clock sit there, hoping that maybe one day there would be someone to come in town who could just fix it for them. And sure enough, one day, a clock repair did come to town. And the town was thrilled, obviously. And so everyone rushed to shop. They all brought in their clocks. And he began to take one order at a time. And it was soon realized that there were many clocks that he could fix and many that he couldn't. And the town all came to his shop asking, where's their clocks? And he came out to announce that only the clocks that had kept wound, even if they weren't in perfect condition, were the ones with a little repair could be fixed. And those who just let their clocks run dry, all the gears rusted, and it was beyond repair. It is so easy to become so unwound and fall into despair over what we see. But our tradition teaches us that hope is forged through actions, the little tiny windings every single day. And that's what's going to help mend what is broken. We began tonight with our grief, raw and real, and we don't leave it behind, but we carry it forward wrapped in hope, the same hope that has sustained our generations, that in the face of all we lost, we must turn our pain into action. Call each other, deliver food, send words of encouragement, or write letters to our soldiers in Israel. Wear your Magen David, light Shabbat candles, celebrate our Jewish identity with pride. Give generously. As we enter this new year, let us renew our spirits and move forward with that courage to remember that hope is in our hands. Shana Tova.
So let's bring all of the intention and that beautiful, beautiful reminder of keeping our own hope alive. Let's bring that into our sanctification of the day through Kiddush. Page 24. I want to invite you all to stand, give a little stretch.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am v'romamanu mikol lashon v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'hatiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'yahava et yom hazikaron hazeh yom teruah mikra kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu vanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikohamim u'devarecha emet v'kayam lad. Baruch atah Adonai melech al kol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu וקיימנו, והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Can you take it?
You may be seated. So one of the customs that we have during High Holy Days at Temple Bethel is to hear a little bit from a member here of a little bit of their journey and how their journey has made a difference in their life. A short personal story. It's for Erev Rosh Hashanah. It's my pleasure to welcome up Sandy Gendel.
Shana Tova. Rabbi Kavod asked me to talk about the importance of Jewish community in my life. 2,000 years ago, Rabbi Hillel shared important teachings about Jewish life. He said, "Do not separate yourself from community." He followed with words I remember seeing on posters in my college dormitory. "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? But if I am only for myself, who am I? If not now, when?" Jewish community, Kehillah, can be a central part of our Jewish experience. It can give life meaning and be an antidote to isolation. Our collective identity is spotlighted by our Jewish communities. As Jews, we are a part of a minority group. Of the 8 billion people on earth, Jews are 0.2%. We are only 2.4% of the US population. Each of us is important to the continuity of Judaism, and each of us is important as a community member right here at Temple Bethel. I was born in Connecticut and experienced numerous relocations in my life, each associated with different Jewish communities. As a young child, my extended family and I belonged to Temple Beth Israel in West Hartford, Connecticut. Founded in 1843, the year the Connecticut legislature first permitted public prayer by Jews. Spiritually, I remember experiences of sensing God in the main sanctuary while awed by the harmonious choir and the light refracting through stained glass windows. Early Jewish community experiences can have lifelong meaning and impact on our children. My family and I moved to Philadelphia when I was 10, and we joined Temple Zion. 50 families rented a small house, hired a rabbi, and supported a highly participatory Jewish community. All members, including the children and teens, led prayers at services and shared opinions at Oneg Shabbats. Each of us learned we had something of value to contribute to our Jewish community. In the 1970s, I went to college and graduate school in Boston. Firm in my Jewish identity, but very curious about all spirituality, I studied world religions and yoga and meditation. I worked at Jewish summer camps in the Poconos and in Canada. My approach to kashrut, a new choice, was through vegetarianism. Experimentation revealed variety within my own tradition. I was first married at Bethel Temple in Connecticut, then moved to Pittsburgh and joined Tree of Life, which I know we've all thought of, where we were warmly supported while becoming parents. These communities helped deepen my prayer and holiday observances in traditional ways. Our son was born in Easton, Pennsylvania, where we joined B'nai Israel and formed a chavurah with other young families. Long before that, my grandmother, like her mother, made all her granddaughters life members of Hadassah. In Easton, I got involved in that charitable organization, fundraising for hospitals in Israel and organizing protest marches to free Soviet Jews. Lador Vador. An educational psychologist, I lived and worked in Los Alamitos, California area for 30 years. The Long Beach JCC provided a vibrant community for my family, now 5 of us, to pursue our own Jewish interests and partake in the creative ideas of others. Facilitating ongoing groups for Rosh Chodesh, spiritual eldering, and social groups for differently abled young adults was fulfilling. In 1999, we attended the Aleph Kala in Oregon that introduced us to Jewish Renewal, a trans-denominational egalitarian movement created to reinvigorate Judaism. With a joyful, spiritual, progressive yet neo-Hasidic approach to practice and study, the week was a revelation. We came home, organized, built a local community, which was a focus in my life for the next decade. After a year at ICAR and a period of deep personal loss and upheaval, I moved to Los Angeles in 2015 to join Steve. I knew that in a megacity like LA, I needed to find my place. The Minyan at Leo Beck Temple provided an inclusive, scholarly, activist community. Asked to join their mental health committee during the pandemic, I found purpose. The women's Torah study and services on Zoom uplifted my spirit. Steve and I moved to Laguna Niguel in 2022. Wanting a Jewish community close to home, and after meeting with Kavod, we joined Temple Bethel last year. Reflecting back, I'm grateful for needs repeatedly fulfilled by involvement in Jewish community, including right here. Connection, belonging, support and celebration, prayer, ritual, meditation, and learning, supporting Israel, fighting anti-Semitism, and exploring ethical issues, finding touches of spirit, divinity, and holiness. Many of you here have preceded me in Jewish community involvement here. For others, I hope you'll join me. As Hillel said, if not now, when? Shana Tova.
Sandy, that was so beautiful. I learned a lot about you. I invite you all to rise for the Aleinu on page 25.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishbechot adama, shelo samt elkeinu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz umoshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al ushti natuzo Bekovei meromim, Hu Eloheinu einod, Emet malkeinu efes וסולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ויארץ מתחת. אין עוד על כן נקבל לך אדוני אלוהינו לראות מהרה בתפארת עוזך. כך כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. You may be seated briefly. Before we do Mourner's Kaddish, which I'll invite Rabbi Kavod to lead, turn to Psalm 27 on page 27 and read with me just up to the red writing, and we have a beautiful rendition of Achat Sha'alti, but please join me. A Psalm of David. Adonai is my light and my help. Whom shall I fear? Adonai is the stronghold of my life. Whom shall I dread? When evil people assail me to devour my flesh, it is they, my enemies, and those who besiege me, who stumble and fall. Should an armed camp be arrayed against me, my heart would show no fear. Should they war against me, of this I would be sure. One thing I ask of Adonai, this I seek, to dwell in the house of God all the days of my life, to behold God's beauty and visit God's sanctuary. Betuv Adonai be'eretz chayim,
Kaveh el Adonai, chazak v'yametz libecha, v'kaveh el Adonai.
Mourner's Kaddish is on page 26. If you're in a period of mourning, please stand. And if it's your custom to stand or sit for the Mourner's Kaddish, please do so. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divra cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. So I'm not sure, is this for our announcements? Is this Sarah or Brad? Which one of our board members here? Okay. And as Brad's coming up, I just want to alert some of you that there are some flyers that are out there near the memorial boards. Those are, Rabbi Marcia has provided some different resources for the High Holy Days to help enrich your experience. So if on your way out you'd like to take a look, some of the upcoming events happening, it's right there.
Some more announcements. I know some of all this talk about hope, some of you are thinking, I hope these are short. So thank you everybody for being here and making this evening so special. Special thanks to Rabbi Kavod, Rabbi Cantor, Tilchin, and our incredible musicians and everyone who stepped up for honors. Thank you, Wendy Lupel, our coordinator. This year is filled with events, education, and services. Far too many for mentioning. That's for sure. Please check our website for details. Let's see, we'll skip down to the important things. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 8:45. Please check the calendar for children's programming, which begins earlier and runs through the day. Anybody know the time of that? 9. Okay, so 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Very good. Once again, we will be having a food drive to feed the hungry in Orange County. Please bring non-perishable items on Yom Kippur. Bags are available as you exit tomorrow. It's time to register for our small groups program. The best way to discover, deepened and connect with other temple members while addressing Jewish questions for a meaningful life. We have a special alternative renewal service led by Rabbi Aviva on day 2 of Rosh Hashanah at 10 a.m. Join us for a community lunch followed with service sponsored by the Jewish Collaborative. Thank you, Jewish Collaborative. Our Tashlich service is on Sunday, October 6th at 3 p.m. at Dana Point. It's at the Dana Point Pier. There will be a special Tot service, getting to that, 2:30. Oh, this is the highlight right here. An ice cream truck. If nothing else, come for some ice cream. Join the entire community at the JCC in Irvine on October 7th, and we will be commemorating the horrors of a year ago. Please note that there are 2 times, 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Temple Bethel is participating in the 5 p.m. service. Another beautiful event. Help build our sukkah on Sunday, October 13th. Join us, well, it says 8:30, but be here around 9. That's fine. And also, if you have kids, families, you can show up a little bit later. help with the decorating,
Yes.
and then
Decorators, yes.
and then stick around for the barbecue. So if you're here, enjoy the barbecue. Also, check your tickets for times and details of Yom Kippur. And with that, Shana Tova.
So I hope some of you will be here tomorrow. So what Rabbi Kavod was talking about is that here are 3 examples of things that you can do if you're bored in synagogue. Rejoice with trembling, which kind of sounds odd, is from the Schechter Institutes out of Israel. This is one of the rabbinical seminaries affiliated with the conservative movement. Some very powerful readings and things in here. The Reform movement put together this fabulous compendium, Lights of Hope, Teshuvah, Tefillah, Tzedakah. Those are all there for you to lift up, take. You're reading, you're sort of, it's like enough, like Hebrew. Like, read these. It's okay to read in shul. My dad always brought a book with him. And last, for those of you who are renegades for something completely different, this is from Jubilong, their high holiday, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur compendium. And these also have some very interesting things in there. So those are for you to enjoy. And last but not least, for you to take with you, since many of you don't know about some of the community-wide programs we do, this 2 pages has 8 of the 6 or 7 of the most interesting programs that Jay Cook is doing. None of them overlap with anything that a synagogue might be doing. And these are for you to take with you if you'd like, so you can have to refer when you're home. And without further ado, thank you very much. We're going to close with Yigdal, the classic. Yigdal for High Holidays, my favorite. Here we go. We're on page 28. Yigdal Elohim Chai ve'yishtabach timsa v'yenei el netziuto echad v'yen yachid ve'yichudo elam v'gam ein sof li'achduto ein lo demut haguf v'yeino guf lo na'roch elav kedushato admon lechol davar asher nivra rishon v'yein reshit l'reshito hino adon olam v'chol notzar yoreh gedulato u'malchuto shefad ruato metam oel anshe segulato v'tifarto lo kame Yisrael kemoshe od navi umabit et emunato Torah tevet natan li'amoel al yad nevio neman beito lo yachalif ha'el ve'lo yamir dato me'olamim lezulato Sofeh v'yodea Setarenu David l'sof davar B'kadmato Lo melech chesed k'mifalo notei L'Rosh Hashanah kirishato Yishmak l'keis yamim V'shichenu livnom lechagekei Yeshuato Meitim yechayel B'roch hasto Baruch Hadayan Shem tehilato Meitim yechayel B'roch hasto Baruch Hadayan Shem tehilato Shana Tova Tigatemu V'Techatemu. May we all be inscribed and sealed for a year of blessing, good health, and courage to keep going and have hope.
Shana Tova.
guys are